How has your training changed from going from the local level races to the national level races? So not a lot has changed. A lot of it's been I've learned quite a bit on like how to train, what to do to train, and whatnot. It's something you just learn over time and figure out with like the help of others, or like I did schooling to kind of get a better like idea of like how everything works, along with like my own personal experiences, and then I've had some trainers in the past. So the first national out of state race that I did was 2019, I believe, and it was a national enduro in South Carolina, Sumter. So if you've done Sumter, you know that like a lot of times it's an ass kicker. If you haven't done Sumter, it's an ass kicker. So it's like it's sandy loam, and it gets pretty like square edged and bumpy, and it's tight and turny because it's an enduro. But so the intensity of that is pretty strong. And in that time period, I've like rode sand like twice, and I hated it. I freaking it spiked my heart rate. It was hard to ride, hard to do, kind of thing. And so at that race that year, it was wet, and there is some sections that are a little bit like clay, and so I mean it did get kind of nasty in spots. I literally thought I was going to pass out during the race from being out of shape. And so it opened up my eyes that one, I wasn't doing enough and I could be doing a lot more. And two, if I wanted to do like national level races, I wasn't going to make a fool out of myself by being out of shape and like literally like borderline getting ready to pass out. And it wasn't even at the end of the day. I think it was like test 3. I remember telling my brother, he actually met us at that round. He was going to school at Pro SXMX Tech, and some of his classmates went down with him to that race, and they were our pit crew. And I remember telling him, one of his classmates, that I literally thought I was going to die in that test. They just stared at me and didn't know what to say. So basically, after that point, I ramped up my training and I started riding even more. I do a lot of 2-a-day kind of things, like whether it's gym in the morning and then riding in the evening, or gym in the morning and then like cycling or running, whatever it might be. Like my main goal is, one, to be strong enough to manhandle the bike in no matter what kind of scenario or conditions, and then two, being able to sprint on the last lap of a hare scramble in the heat of the battle. That is what I focus on. And so pretty much I just realized that the tracks in Missouri, they might have a lot of rock, but they're not rough. They don't get ruddy. They don't get super bumpy like the out of state stuff does. So it takes, I feel like it takes a lot more conditioning to be able to handle the rougher stuff. So yeah, that's the shorter version of how it's changed. I can pull like my old workout logs and go over that in a video if y'all would like. Just let me know. Who or what inspires you to be a better person? So I truly believe those who you surround yourself with make make you a better person or make you a worse person, kind of thing. So don't tread lightly on who you're hanging with, who is influencing you, and whatnot. I have a great group of my inner circle, and it's just a handful of people. Like, you don't have to have the most friends in the world to be a good person, to do big things, to become great. Like, the smaller your group, honestly, the better. And keeping it that way, kind of, everybody wants to be there when you win, but very few people will be there through the thick of it whenever, like, you don't think life can get any worse, kind of thing. Very that's whenever you find out who your true friends are and how they keep you going and push you to continue to push yourself and to be better and keep going and don't quit. And then the other thing, like there is dirt bikes. I will say it again, over and over and over. Dirt bikes made me a better person. They taught me work ethic, what it takes to be good at anything you do in this life. And without like dirt bikes, I don't know if I would have ever figured it out. Like I would hope, because both my parents are very hardworking individuals, so I think I would have caught on eventually. But I caught on at a younger age by being involved in dirt bikes and wanting to be the best I could be on it. What are your top 3 to 5 books of all time that you've ever read? Number 1 is Relentless by Tim Grover. The first time I read that book, I was coming off of, I believe it was my elbow injury. And like that was my first real injury where I spent a significant time off the bike, and I was scared. Like I legitimately was scared to ride in the rocks in the woods again. And so we had a guided trail ride that Steeple Van puts on, and I was a guide. And whenever we went to pre-run it, we were concerned that it wasn't going to go very good for me guiding the people because I was a mess. Like my skill level, let's say it was up here, it was like all the way down here. You can't even see it. Like it didn't even exist because I was in my head really bad. So I was reading Tim Grover's book Relentless, and he said something about trusting your instincts, and like it triggered something with me. Like it flipped that light switch in my brain, and so the next day, like it was literally like this was Friday during the day. I went home Friday night, read my 10 pages. Saturday was the trail ride. Night and day different person. Like it just like that switch and the light bulb in my brain went off, and like everything was so much better. But it also taught me, that book did, like for the longest time before I got like I met the group of people that I'm around now, I thought I was a freak for like wanting to train and like ride and do whatever it takes to be the best that I can be, kind of thing. I thought I was all alone. And that book showed me that I'm not all alone, and there's a select few of us. Like, let's just throw a number out there. Like 10% of the population in the world is like that. And so it just made me feel like I'm not a freaking weirdo. Like I am weird, yes, I will accept that. But like I'm not a weirdo for wanting to work out and train and be the best that I can be. So that was really good. And then number 2 was Winning by Tim Grover. It was his, you read Relentless first and then you read Winning. Basically, that book, it taught me, well, it didn't teach me, but it shows, like, what winning really is. Like, winning doesn't give a shit about you, and it takes you down, and it doesn't care like what you do. It doesn't care if you work harder than somebody else. Winning owes you nothing. Like it's just it's the long journey through like hell basically. So um, what it takes to win is a lot, and a lot of people don't realize that. And so I think it's a really good book because there's no participation trophies. Like I don't give a shit if somebody gives you a participation trophy. Like, no, that's not what it's about at all. Like, if you're just going after a little plaque or whatever for a 5th place or 10th place, like your priorities are not right. Like, you need to have the mindset of doing whatever it takes to win. The third book would be Endure by Cameron Haynes. He is this absolutely savage bow hunter. He trains to hunt, and like
in
by
10 miles,
training,
keep right onto I-70 east toward Columbus.
I legitimately mean like training like he's an athlete, which he is an athlete, but like he goes over like being the odd man out, how he doesn't care how much work it takes to do the hobby that he loves. Like it is just such a good book with a lot of good points. The fourth book would be Tia Claire, The Strongest Woman on Earth. She's an absolute freaking badass. She's won the CrossFit Games, I think, 7 times, going for the eighth time, I believe, this year. And since middle school, she's been getting up at 4 a.m. to train because she wanted to be the best kind of thing. And like she's just a badass. Like, and so that book was really, really